For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Happy anniversary to me. I am celebrating 13 years on the radio this week, and wow, what an incredible ride. And I'm already telling you, normally this show is 30 minutes. We're already late. We're already over 30 minutes because I've got two really funny clips that I want to play for you today from our anniversary broadcast. Our show is called Top of the Charts. It started April 24th, I believe. Oh my God, now I'm on the spot. I don't remember. But, you know, we have a big month of celebrations in April. As you know, here on this show a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated 14 years of my speakfreewithjb.com website. And that played a pivotal role in the radio show thing starting, the gig. And it's really taken off since then. And in all honesty, when I started doing this, I was living in my parents' basement. I was just looking at any way to just get a break. I had to drop out of college because I couldn't afford to finish. I was looking for work in the industry. My dream was to be a newspaper reporter. And then somehow along the way, after writing some columns and commentaries, an internet radio station in Vancouver read my stuff, asked me to record it for radio. I said, okay, fine, what the hell, why not? And then they asked me to co-host a show with them, so I did. They asked me to host a show, and I said no. Then they asked me again a couple of weeks later, and I said fine, one time to fill in for somebody who wasn't there. And the rest is history. That station is no longer around. And our show has gone from, like I said, 2 hours of voice-tracked, recorded stuff from my parents' basement to now being a company called Speak Free Media. And we produce, a top 40 radio show, a country music radio show, daily entertainment headlines, this podcast. We've got best-selling books. It's just incredible the way things have sort of snowballed. And again, a big part of that is thanks to my newspaper column website. A big chunk of that is radio. I mean, it's the radio show that has us visiting Los Angeles and covering red carpets and talking with celebrities every week on the shows and doing our travel programming where I basically get paid to vacation, 3-4 times a year. And it's really been a good time. And in all honesty, whenever I've done interviews about the show or my projects, I'm always asked, oh, well, where do you see things going? And I never have an answer for that. I always just say, I don't know what's happening in 5 years. Because if you were to ask me, let's rewind 13 years. If you were to ask me 13, 14 years ago, if I would have been in Hollywood, mingling with celebrities and drinking on red carpets, I would have said no. Not that I was against it. I just didn't think that that's the path that I was taking. And so I think that really does go to show you, if you keep your options open and you keep an open mind and you take opportunities and take chances, that who knows what'll happen, really. And again, here I am, this guy from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, who started out in his parents' basement. There were times when, for the America's Got Talent finale, now this is going back probably 2010 or 11, I was the only Canadian reporter there. There were about maybe 7 or 11 media outlets. I was one of them. And I was making the trek, flying from Canada. There was no direct flight from Winnipeg. I don't think there still isn't. And I was doing it. I was traveling for 8 or 10 hours, doing all of the logistics and behind the scenes stuff just to be there for a 2-hour, 3-hour event. Don't sleep, keep working all through the night, and then get on a plane and fly all the way home again. And it's turned into some really great things. So I think everybody who's tuned in over the years, and again, even when we started the show, there was no social media, there was no Twitter, there wasn't any of that kind of stuff, and it's really evolved, and I'm really grateful. I'm really happy. I've made some great friends, and I mean that with the listeners on the radio show, and now our Twitter friends. Every Monday night when I tweet Bachelor and Bachelorette, and celebrity friends who I'm on a first name basis with, and publicists and record labels, and it's really been incredible. Behind me in the studio here, we call it the Wall of Fame, and there's pictures of me on the red carpets with people, and it's remarkable. And I don't mean to be doing a victory lap and patting myself on the back. I really do want you to pursue your dreams and just think about how things, you always hear people say that. It seems so trite, right? If you believe it, you can do it. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything. That's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying don't give up. I'm saying when somebody tells you no, find another way to get them to say yes. And that's really what I've done. Because if I gave up every time somebody told me no, holy hell, I would not be where I am today. I'm a persistent dick, and if you ask any of the publicists that I've had to work with over the past, I don't really do it so much myself now. We've got other people that do it for me, but there are times when I'll reach out to a publicist or a VP of publicity, and and just unleash on them, and again, that's their job, is to deal with people like me. So I thank them for their patience. It doesn't always work out in my favor anyway. Now, coming up in this show today here on the Scribble podcast, I'm playing you two clips that we have airing on our Top of the Charts anniversary broadcast. The Celebrity Phone is a segment that we do from time to time, and it's always interesting because I will see they'll hold up a sign maybe that says Celebrity Phone, or I'll just see the light blinking and I just know, oh crap, here we go. And generally it's somebody that I know. We don't. It would be very awkward if I've never heard of them and don't know a damn thing about them, but it's usually a celebrity friend or somebody who I've run into in the past. And so this go around, we had two very long calls that ended up being edited for radio, and the beauty of the podcast is that we can play it for you full here. And Ben Mulroney, host of eTalk, he was also the host of Canadian Idol back in the day. And Canadian Idol was the very first entertainment event that I went to. Again, being in Winnipeg, I was excited to go to Toronto. And again, at the time, this was a major entertainment event. People sort of look at Canadian Idol as like, oh, okay, that was a lesser form of American Idol. But you have to remember that in Canada, things are sort of they're not... American Idol would be 10 times the budget, and so it's a lower scale in Canada, and it really was a great opportunity. So Ben called in for the radio show. We've got that coming up, and Allison Janney, who plays Mom, Bonnie Plunkett on the CBS show. She's on the radio show with me at least once a season, and we actually called my mom, and so. It's really, you just have to hear it. And again, the beauty of this podcast is you can jump around and listen to whatever you want, but I hope you do stick around for both of those segments because it starts right after this break here on The Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
As we celebrate our, lucky 13th anniversary on the air, the Celebrity Phone is once again lighting up. It's always my favorite segment. They never tell me who's on the other end. So let's go to the phones. Hello, you're on the air.
Happy anniversary, Jer.
Hey, hi. Who is this?
You tell me, my friend. Here, you want me to give you a hint?
Okay, yeah, that'll help.
Okay. Canadian Idol. We'll be right back.
It's Ryan Seacrest, Oh, no, sorry. It's Ben Mulroney, isn't it?
Yeah, think taller than Seacrest, unless he's standing on his bags of money, in which case he wins.
Towering over you. Towering over all of us.
I'm doing great. How are things going over there?
You know what? It's crazy to think back 13 years. I know that you were on our 10th anniversary show, and even just then, how things have changed. And so let's talk about these kinds of events. Canadian Idol, that was my first red carpet. That was my first sort of entertainment event to go to.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been meaning. I forgot to ask a long time ago, so I'm going to ask now. Okay. Were you drunk in the front row on that first day?
Oh my God! Wow. Okay, so this is a story. Oh wow. Okay, Ben. Oh, it's on now. It is on.
Okay. Yeah. Let's real talk time.
Yeah, you know what the story was, and you know, you could probably actually appreciate this. Here I was back in the day, starting out. I was in my parents' basement, you know, trying to just get noticed. And CTV, we love CTV, you know, was so gracious to invite me to cover Canadian Idol. And I thought, you know what, I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm going to Toronto, which I had been before. And it was my first sort of real entertainment event. And so the novelty, you know, like when you go to an all-inclusive resort, you sort of overdo it on the food and booze that first day. And that's what it was. I was like, oh my God, I can have any drink that I want. And yeah, the novelty, it just got the best of me. And so sure enough, sitting in the front row of the press conference, you guys were all coming up on the stage. And I was so paranoid that, like, I know that I'm drunk. I can't make a fool of myself. I can't draw attention. And I think I was the only one in the front row because it's like a classroom, right? Nobody goes to the front row. You fill in the back first. And there I was, and thinking like, oh, and I was too scared to even ask a question. I did not even say one word. So
you did it all, huh?
Not at all. No.
You were. I remember you were looking a little bringing around the gills. But you know, it was a heck of an adventure. I mean, when I look back at it, I look back at sort of the way the TV landscape is today, with all these big event programs on both sides of the border, but especially in Canada, you know, you've got your Big Brothers and your Master Chefs and all those things. And Canadian Idol really was the first of its kind. It was the first time in my memory that a Canadian broadcaster was going to take a chance on a big event program like that had been successful around the world. We were going to finally do it, and it was such a success right off the bat that it really it helped my career in ways I can never. I can't explain.
You know, speaking of Canadian Idol, it just reminded me that Sass Jordan, we just had Sass on for my dog's. She called and surprised me on my dog's birthday and offered to send some of her wine. Have you got any of her wine?
I have. I interviewed her for her wine. I hadn't seen her in a few years. She was, she's the same old Sass, looking just fabulous, and we were looking back at her career in music and how the music industry has changed and how she really pioneered a lot of things for women in the music industry, especially in Canada. But yeah, it was so great to catch up with her and reminisce. We don't get that much time to do that these days.
Boy, you really earned that free wine. That was a nice plug for her, hey? Jeez. Let me ask you if you remember your first red carpet or media event.
Do I remember my first red carpet or media event? I mean, I remember my first Oscar red carpet because it was just such a big deal. And I was down there with Lisa LaFlamme. Mm-hmm. The goal was for me to ultimately take over the red carpet, but for that first year, I was on the red carpet before the carpet started with her, and then I went to the truck and watched her do the red carpet. Now, that's not her forte, but she's such an incredible journalist that she made it look effortless. And then the next year was going to be my first year on the carpet, but that was the year that the red carpet was canceled due to the American invasion of Iraq. And it was a security risk. So I didn't actually get to be on the carpet until the very next year. And by then, I had been down there enough that I wasn't as nervous as I would have been had I had to do it the year before or the year before that.
Everyone who's worked a red carpet, I think, has their most embarrassing moment that they'll never forget. What's yours?
Well, you know, to be completely candid, I don't have a moment where I put my foot in my mouth and did anything terribly embarrassing. But I've had some uncomfortable moments, and a couple of them come to mind. They were both on the Oscar red carpet, and the first was with director Julian Schnabel, who was he was nominated for his movie The Bell and the Butterfly, which was a fabulous movie, really, really fantastic. And this guy is equal parts artist and sort of big-time movie director. And he showed up in pajamas with his new lady on his arm. And the movie is about a guy who went diving in the ocean, and I think he had an air bubble that got into his brain. He ended up having locked-in syndrome, I think it's called, where you can experience, or you can see and you live your life, but you can't move. You're completely paralyzed. And so he got in front of me, and I said, Mr. Schnabel, beautiful movie, congratulations. This really is a story of the triumph of the human spirit, because the guy ends up writing his own memoirs without the ability to even move. So I really thought that would be a nice way to introduce the movie, and he looked at me and said, well, that's the most trite way of explaining my work. And I paused for a second, and I realized this isn't going to get any better, so I just said thank you very much and sent him on his way. And you've got those little moments like that, but if you go in prepared, and if you go in respectful, and if you go in not trying to be the smartest guy on the carpet, not trying to be smarter than the person you're interviewing, then you should be fine.
We had, Kathy Lee and Hoda from the Today Show. Now Kathy Lee is obviously moving on, but they've had some embarrassing live moments we talked about when they were on the show, and I mentioned mine was from The Voice, red carpet in Los Angeles, and the winner was there, and I'm talking to him and this woman who's with him, and I'm assuming that this is the woman that we've seen throughout the entire series, which was his mom. And so I'm going and I'm saying, what's going through your head as you're standing there, and they're drawing it out, right? We're seeing you, and then the audience, and then the judges, right? We're waiting to hear who's the winner. And I said, and then we see your mom. And I motioned to the woman, and she's like, I'm his wife.
Oh, God. You see, you can't... I am paranoid about making an embarrassing assumption like that. And so I play dumb, even if I think I know, even if I think in my heart I'm 99.9% right about something, I'll ask the question to whoever I'm with, either before, when we're not live, before we go live, or in the middle of the interview. I'll find a way to back into that question, because I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, the only cover would be, your loved ones, because I didn't actually point to her. I just sort of, put my hand out and kind of motioned, in that direction. And I don't know. It's, again, in that moment, you're like, yeah, I covered that. We're good. But I don't know. I still don't know.
I remember the first Juno red carpet we did under the etalk banner, and it was in Ottawa at what was the Corel Center at the time, and it was worth 12, 13, 14, no, God, at least 15 years ago now, and we were literally in the middle of a cow field. We had about 200 audience members that were bussed in, but it had snowed the night before, and so when you have 200 people standing in a field, it looks like a dozen people have shown up to your party. It looks like no one's there. And Shania Twain was hosting the show, and we had rehearsed the opening of the show, where I was going to go, ladies and gentlemen, Canada's queen of country, give it up for the host of the show, Shania Twain. And that was how it was going to, she was going to come out of her limousine, and that was how our show was going to start. And the show goes live, and I say exactly what I'm supposed to say. I said, ladies and gentlemen, Shania Twain. And the camera catches her ankle as she comes out of the limo, and then right there, someone pressed the wrong button, and we went right into animation and missed it completely. And as I tell this story, I realize I do have an embarrassing moment
there we go.
that I still haven't lived down.
Okay.
Russell Peters was hosting the Junos one year, and my producer looked at me the night before, and she said, whatever you do, don't call him Russell Simmons. And I said, why would you say that? I was not going to call him Russell Simmons. I was going to call him Russell Peters, and they put that in my head. It's like saying, whatever you do, don't think of a pink elephant. Of course you're going to think of a pink elephant. So he gets out of his car, and I give him the biggest intro I've ever given anybody, like a Def Comedy Jam. Give it up for Russell Simmons! Now, when you say something stupid like that to one of the quickest people working in show business, like Russell Peters, he will not let you live it down. And mercifully, the God shined on me, and they gave me a second chance because he hosted again the next year. And I doubled down on the joke and called him Richard Simmons. And he appreciated it, but he still, to this day, gives me crap for that.
And still to this day, behind me on the wall in the studio here, we've got our Wall of Fame. I see Ben Mulroney on the stage at Canadian Idol. I see Mia and Russell Peters at the Junos in Vancouver, is where that was, and then the Corner Gas cast. So lots of memories from red carpets. And red carpets have really changed over the years, right? When I started, there wasn't selfies, there wasn't even bloggers, there wasn't that on the red carpet. It's really changed.
Oh, 100% it's changed. And I remember Like when we were doing them, when we started that Juno red carpet, we would ask everybody who was walking, "Who are you wearing?" And we were met with looks of cluelessness and in some cases offense. How dare you ask me who I'm wearing? But we did it because eventually we knew that smart publicists would see that this was an opportunity to help them promote other clients of theirs, fashion clients of theirs. And now when you walk on those red carpets, especially in music, you get all types. But more and more people step up their fashion game because it's an opportunity to showcase Canadian talent to Canadian audiences. It's a much more sophisticated event than it used to be. I mean, I'd venture to say that the red carpets that we used to do in Canada and Canadian media, they were barely red carpets. Years and years and years ago, when I first started in TV, my first job was on a channel called The Chat Room, which was the precursor to Canadian MTV. And we would send one of our correspondents down to the Metro Toronto Convention Center on the night of the Gemini Awards, which happened at the same time as the police ball. And we would play a game called Canadian Celebrity or Cop because you couldn't tell the difference. And now it's a real big deal. I mean, the Canadian Screen Awards just happened, and what a big deal that was.
And we've got to wrap this up. I could talk to you all day, but one of the things that's really fascinating about a red carpet, I'm told it all the time, is that I speak too quickly. You go a little fast too, but here's the thing. People don't realize it's not that you're talking so fast because you're excited. You just have so little time with the celebrity that you want to get everything in as well. That's my take of it anyway.
100%. When we're on the Oscar red carpet, I know that at most, if I'm lucky, I'm going to have an opportunity to ask 3 questions. And so it's not about asking all the questions I want. It's trying to get something out of them that is going to live beyond that red carpet. So, yes, I want to ask about the movie. Yes, I want to get a sense of how they feel moments before they go into the Dolby Theater. But more than that, I want to have a soundbite and a moment on camera that we'll be able to go back to for years to come. And if I can get that, it doesn't matter if I have 30 seconds with them. If once I get that, we can move on to the next person. It's the Canadian way of doing things. We're never going to be given as much time as the biggest broadcasters in the States. So it really is about quality, not quantity.
Well, we know that the biggest is not Seacrest. Size-wise, anyway.
Yeah, size-wise, and listen, and even in terms of, he doesn't have an ego, this guy. He's such a professional. He's such a nice guy. He's a real gentleman on the carpet to everyone he encounters. I've learned a lot from him over the years. The one thing I haven't learned, though, is how to accumulate wealth and programs the way he has. If I could nail that down, I'd be a happy guy.
You need to buy a Kardashian. I think that's how it works.
You know what? He is success. He does not own the shame that he has bestowed on us the way he should for that. Nice guy, but that is an evil that he has deposited on the world, and one day he will be judged for it.
Oh, absolutely. Finally, did you get to pick the baby name for the Royals?
Did I get to pick the baby name? Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
No. Listen, when that little baby comes, I'm going to be as surprised and as happy as anybody. I can't wait to meet him or her, and I'm just so happy for the couple.
Well, we know that etalk is going to have all the royal baby news covered, right?
etalk is going to do what etalk always does, which is deliver all the biggest entertainment news in a way that only etalk does. I like to say that etalk talks to its audience. We talk to our audience the way we think our audience talks to themselves and to each other. And I think we deliver it in a really fun and irreverent, but also respectful way. And I've been doing it now for 16 years, I think, and I would do it for another 16 if they let me.
Well, here's hoping. Well, Ben Mulroney, thanks for surprising and celebrating our lucky 13 today.
Jeremy, congratulations on 13 years. I look forward to 13 more, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks very much. And like I said, you're staring at the back of my head every day when I'm doing this show. So
staring, judging. Yeah, that's me.
Looking down at me because the picture is pretty high up on the wall. Thanks, Ben.
Take care.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Well, our Lucky 13 celebration continues, and once again, the celebrity phone is lighting up. Always my favorite time of the show because I never know who's calling in. Let's go to the phone. Hi, you're on the air.
Jeremy, it's Mom calling.
Mom? Okay. My mom doesn't listen to me on the radio, so this is a prank.
Jeremy, no. It's Allison Janney from the Mom.
Oh.
TV show Mom.
Quite the trickster.
And I'm going to have to call your mother and get mad at her for not listening to your show. That's not right.
You give her hell. I'm going to give you her phone number off the air, and we actually, could you imagine? I know that she watches Mom. She would be surprised as hell if I just called her with Allison Janney on the phone. I got to tell you. But
I know. Maybe we should just surprise your mom. That's not a surprise show.
You know what? I was
let's do it.
like, okay, hold on. I'm going to grab my phone here. This is too funny. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, this was not, I like to have fun with Allison.
Does your mom even know it's your anniversary or your 13th? Like 13th?
No, she doesn't. Okay, this is really fun. And now, everybody, I got to tell you, we have not planned this. This is not rehearsed. So hopefully the audio and everything will go off as planned. But this is too funny with Allison on the phone. I'm going to call my parents right now. Let me see if I can get my mom on the phone. Here we go. It's ringing, everybody.
Does your mom even know what Mom is? But she probably doesn't even know who I am. That's going to be funny. Hello?
She does. Oh, hey, there she is.
She does? Okay.
Hi, Mom.
What's her? Yeah. Hi. It's Allison Janney from Mom calling you to ask you why you haven't called Jeremy to say happy anniversary. It's his 13th anniversary.
Why I didn't call who?
Why?
I didn't hear you.
Oh, Allison's asking why you didn't call in for our 13th anniversary radio broadcast, and I said you probably wouldn't have even known it's the radio.
No, you're right.
No, but you
You're absolutely right.
What's your mom's name?
Mom's name is Diane.
Diane, hi, it's Allison. I don't even know if she knows she's talking to me. Diane?
Uh-huh.
It's Allison Janney. Do you watch the Mom show?
No.
Uh-oh.
Fantastic. Well, I'm hoping that you will watch my show and tune into your son's show, and then we can meet back here a year from now.
There we go.
Maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. You know what? Yeah, Diane has never been to Los Angeles, Allison, so maybe we'll make that happen. That would be really fun. Oh my. This is all going sideways. All right, Mom, Diane, I got to clarify which mom I'm talking to, Allison. Diane, we're going to let you go, and I'm going to continue on with Allison here on the radio, okay?
All right.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Bye. Okay.
Bye, Diane. That was very...
That was... How...
Pick me up for me.
How awkward is that? Hey, no, I don't watch Mom. Well, but you know what? It's funny, too, because she has mentioned that she has seen a couple of episodes, so maybe she just means she doesn't watch it regularly. I'm trying to save her ass for you. There we go. All right.
Don't worry. That was actually really funny. I have no problem with Diane not watching Mom. That's totally fine. I do have a problem with Diane not listening to you, though.
I know, right? But Okay, well, let's continue on with this, Allison. We got a little sidetracked there. Thank you for surprising me on the radio. Let me ask you, how do you celebrate achievements and milestones? What would you do for Lucky 13?
I do love 13, and I do think it's lucky. I choose not to believe it's unlucky. I think it's a special day and worthy of celebration. And I mostly, these days, like to have friends come over and celebrate with a nice bottle of wine and play some. I'm into this game called Rummy Cube right now. It's really great fun, and that's my idea of celebrating, is having, and also making, having one of my friends that cooks come over and cook a wonderful dinner and then play games and just have fun.
I'm laughing because I think that my mom plays Rummy Cube out at the lake in the summer. So here's what's going to happen, Allison. You're going to come to Canada.
Really? Oh my God.
We're going to so we'll come and we'll visit Mom in Los Angeles, and then you're going to come to Canada for a Rummy Cube tournament, okay?
Diane has no idea what we're going to be fast and furious friends. She's playing Rummy Cube and...
I could only imagine what'll happen, me getting my mom to Los Angeles, because a couple of years ago I was doing an interview with Kenny Rogers in his dressing room and, got her tickets to the show, and she was having a freak out, what she should wear. So it would be all kinds of entertaining to bring her to Los Angeles at some point. You know that.
What did she end up wearing to meet Kenny Rogers?
She went with blue jeans. She's like, should I wear a dress? And I was like, no.
Perfect.
No.
No, I think Diane chose wisely, and she should also wear jeans if she comes to L.A., because this is a jeans kind of town.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that sounds like it would be a good celebration. And I was on the plane. I was on a plane the other day on United and actually with Air Canada, and Mom episodes are on there, and I have to laugh because the show is just so funny. The physical comedy that you do. Do you have a favorite episode so far from this season?
Well, I do love the episode with Christy being sick, and I had to do all that stuff with the TV and taking care of Christy sick, and the television stuff was kind of fun. That carrying it up the stairs and answering phones and doing. I'm an actress who loves to give me the more props and things to juggle, the better. I love it. It makes it seem really real and fun, and it's physical, and I get a kick out of it. I love it.
And then the Bonnie in the wheelchair episode.
Oh, God, that was great, too. That was a lot of fun. That Bill Fickner and I having that race to the bedroom in the back and knocking over everything on my way to the bedroom. I just love to throw myself in the physicality of everything.
It's great. I know, yeah, we talked about that last time. So, I was doing a bit of traveling, I said. Or what do you have on the go for the summer? I know you always keep busy during your time off from the show.
I am. I'm getting ready to go down to Mississippi. I'm going to do a movie there with my friend Tate Taylor, a movie called Breaking News in Yuba County. And then I also have... I have a few things in New York, just events I'm going to, and then my friend Octavia, her movie Ma is opening. I'm really excited for her, and I went down and did a little cameo in that with her, so I'm really excited for that to come out, and excited for her. I think it's going to be a really big summer, thriller, fun horror film. It's fantastic, so I'm excited about that. So then I go back to 2 more seasons of Mom, so I'm really thrilled. Yes, the renewal was announced, I guess, a month or 2 ago, I think, right? Yeah. We're all coming back and couldn't be happier. It's the best job. It really is. We're really lucky and fortunate to get to tell these stories over and over. And, oftentimes you do musicals. I know you did that a few years ago when we last talked. Nothing happening on Broadway or anything anytime soon? Not right now, but those things tend to come up when you least expect it. Yeah. I definitely want to go back to New York and do theater. I don't know when. I'm probably thinking maybe after Mom, the run of Mom is over and I have more time to relax into a theater show. That was when I did 6 Degrees. That was kind of hard. I was doing Mom, and I was rehearsing for 6 Degrees of Separation on Broadway, and I was at the same time filming I, Tonya in Atlanta, and all those 3 things were going on at the same time. It it was an embarrassment of riches, but also a little bit. It was a lot for me to handle. I would love to do things a little more spaced out properly, so I can have some breathing time and living time. Me time.
Right. Okay, so earlier we talked about how you would, celebrate an achievement or a milestone. But speaking of like I, Tonya, and all of the awards that you've won, how do you celebrate a big win?
Usually, the celebrations they're kind of continual and silent and quiet in my mind and in my heart and in my soul. Makes me feel when I see them in my house. I look and I feel, they fill me with gratitude and I feel proud and honored to have won certain, with all of them. And it's a lovely thing. And mostly at the end of a big award show night, the best thing is coming home and taking off your high heels and just sitting with whoever you brought with you and a couple of friends and going, wow, let's talk about what happened there tonight. That wasn't me though. I love the rehash of the evening's events. That's my favorite part, breaking down the night at the end of the night.
So do you prefer going home and being in private, or mingling with all of the famous people?
I prefer going home and talking about it with friends, and a little of both is good. I mean, I do like to go out to some parties afterwards, and then but I do become more of a person who likes to just go home and I'm not so much a party girl anymore. But I enjoy seeing people at them, but it's a lot of work getting ready to go to an award show, all the stress and the worry and the red carpet and press and people, and there's a lot of pressure. So when it's over, you kind of want to take the mask off, take the hair, the makeup, the eyelashes, everything off, and just breathe.
Oh, I hear ya. Yeah. I'm also laughing because my mom just texted, "Are you on the radio?" ? I should write back, "Yeah, for 13 years. Hello." No. Okay, well now, again, speaking of Mom then, I'm wondering, and maybe you're not allowed to give out spoilers, but is Mom getting married this season? Like, can you give us any tidbits?
Well, I can tell you that, there's a distinct possibility of that happening. It may not happen the way we all expect it to happen. Okay. Which is kind of fun and unexpected, and but there's definitely a celebration of sorts.
Okay, so for both Bonnie and Christy.
Right. It's good. It's really great, and Kristen Johnston adding into the mix has been amazing. I've got to do some really great stuff with her. I think we have an episode, I think tonight or whenever this airs, that when we go to visit our foster parents that raised us, and there's a whole backstory that Bonnie has with Tammy, played by Kristen. It's fascinating. It's really great stuff. It's really rich for us as actors to dig into, and we're having a lot of fun there. And Anna's storyline with her being graduating law school and getting a job. There's all the characters are moving forward and with their lives, and there's a lot of new stuff coming up, and it's just. It never ceases to be rewarding doing this show.
And it always seems like just when you think you've heard the weirdest development in their lives, or even one of Bonnie's crazy stories from the past, they do just get weirder.
Oh yeah, even I'm like, really? Was I an undercover stripper in Poland and sold like nuggies? Just like, there is no end to what Bonnie is. What she was capable of doing, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy the writers love thinking of the craziest things for her to have done. And I want to do more flashbacks.
Well, and now that I think about it, we talked about this a couple times ago. That doesn't even make sense. But you know what? Lucky 13.
I know what you mean.
We talked about this where that Bonnie did live in Canada. I remember I quizzed you that one time.
Yeah, she had a daycare center that fronted as where she sold drugs, right?
In Manitoba.
Daycare center. Yeah.
In Manitoba.
Right, that's right.
So how funny that now this comes full circle, Allison, that my mom we just had on the show is from Manitoba. Bonnie was also in Manitoba. This is a sign. It's fate.
Diane and I are meant.
Wait a second. If she's
going to now watch Mom. She's going to be the biggest fan. I can tell it.
She will. Wait a second. If she gets on your show before I get on your show, we're going to have an issue. But, I know you've been inviting me for years. We'll make it up. Watch, she's going to get a speaking role, and I'll be somebody at the back of the AA meeting. That's what'll happen. Wow.
Oh, my God. You're so funny.
Could you imagine? All right. Well,
how are you celebrating your 13th? What are you doing?
I'm working, of course.
To me.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. When Allison calls into the show, or when we could do this for like an hour or two. So you know what? If my anniversary was spent with Allison on the phone, I'm good with that. That's how I would celebrate. So.
Oh, I love that. That makes me feel good. Thank you, Jeremy.
And then maybe I'll reply to my mom's text at some point in the day. Maybe.
Yeah, make her wait a little bit, though.
Let her sweat.
Yeah,
let her sweat.
Yeah, you were on the air, and she's going. Well, I don't know. I don't know what your relationship is.
Oh no.
I don't want you to horrify her and embarrass
her. Oh no.
Her.
Oh, absolutely. No, we're gonna mess with her. No, we're going to mess with her. I'm going to message a whole crap load of people on Facebook and say, oh my God, I just heard you on the radio. Oh my
God, you're terrible.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All right.
Love it.
Anyway, Allison, we've got to get back into the music here. Thank you so much for calling in and surprising me. I always love chatting with you and maybe...
I love chatting with you too, and I really look forward to seeing you when you do get to come out to LA, and hopefully you'll bring Diane with you.
That guest starring role, remember she promised me I get a dressing room too then, right? Or no?
Oh my God, you're so funny. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to try to pull strings, but we're going to try to pull some strings here.
There we go. We'll save it for sweeps because, we'll get some good ratings from it too.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Allison Janney, always great talking with you. Thanks so much for calling in.
Thanks, Jeremy, and happy anniversary.
Thanks very much. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Yes, we are on the Twitter. And the thing that I love about a podcast is we are not constrained to time. Again, with the radio show, we've got 2 hours, we've got a whole bunch of music we've got to stick in there, and it ends up just being, there's a lot of moving parts. And again, these interviews that you heard with the celebrities, we only get, 3-minute segments, 4-minute segments, and then we're done. So normally this podcast is 30 minutes, and we're already at the 42.5-minute mark. So I just... it's my party, and I'll do whatever the hell I want. Thank you very much. But again, in all seriousness, I want to thank everybody who tunes into our radio shows, who buys my books, who listens to this podcast, who chimes in on our Twitter discussions when I'm tweeting The Bachelor and bashing the hell out of people. And it's been a wild ride. And like I said to Ben Mulroney, that 13 years, it really does not seem like it. And I don't know where the road is going to take me. I'll admit, there are some weeks when I'm just like, oh, I don't feel like talking. Oh, I don't want to. And then I think of just how incredibly grateful I am with the opportunities that we get, again, to travel everywhere and go to different events and meet people. And it's really a good time. So feel free to give me a shout anytime if you've got a favorite moment from our radio years. My email address is, I don't know what it is. what is it? Live at jbonair.com. That's what it is. Live at jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. My thanks to Ben Mulroney and Allison Janney for joining us. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some